All right, guys, want to jump on here and basically show you some live trading here, kind of with a new concept. Basically, this is what I would call a multi time frame. We even refer to it as multi-dimensional if you want to be a little Tony Stark-like, but multi time frame trading. And basically, what I am looking for in trades when I am looking at a trade is I'm looking for multi-time frame confirmation of the trend. So let me show you one trade that I'm in right now, which is CADJPY. And what you're going to notice here on the screen, this is the actual trade I'm in live, just opened it a little while ago, is two things. I'm only using two indicators here. One is a multi-time frame indicator I created myself, and based on the radius trend cloud, which is a free trend cloud that you can get on TradingView, and very similar in concept to PSAR, which you also see on the screen. I'll show you that in just a second. But this multi-time frame trend cloud, basically what I'm doing is I'm saying, hey, on these specific time frames, what I'm looking for is that all of these time frames are aligned going the same direction. So it's a high odds trade. So over here in the top right hand corner, move this down so you can see a little bit. But over here in this top right hand corner, you can see I have 2 hour, 4 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour, 1 day, 7 day, 14 day. Basically, this multi time frame radius trend cloud is telling me that those seven different time frames, including the time frame I'm on, so technically that would be 8 time frames, are all in a bullish trend. So they're all in one of these radius trends moving upward. And so, really, the only time that I'm looking to trade is when all of those are pointed in the same direction, meaning we have momentum on multiple time frames to either the upside or the downside. The second indicator I have on my, and of course, these are the two indicators besides the volume. And we can actually just turn that off right now just so we can see everything. Um, so going back to the radius trend cloud, I can actually draw those on the screen too from the other time frames. So right here is 12 hour, 8 hour, and those just basically show me again that we're still in a major uptrend. And so if I double click on that, I can turn those on or off just like that. And then if I want to, I can say, hey, show me when we're in all seven time frames. So you can actually see that being in seven time frames did not start till about 1500 hours on Monday. So that was earlier today. And once it did, then that made it a high probability trade for the multi time frame trend. So now the other thing that I'm also looking at, so that's one indicator. So let's go to a second indicator, and that's at the bottom of my screen. And this is just what I have called an ultra combined trend indicator. And the main two things that I have it display on the screen for me is the RSI, Relative Strength Index, standard 14-day period, along with the DI plus and DI minus lines. That comes from the ADX, average directional movement. Both of these are Wilder, Wells Wilder concept of technical trading. That was one of his books he wrote. He's considered one of the fathers of trading when it comes to technical analysis. So these two indicators I pretty much keep on the screen uh, just to look, just to check, just to see what's going on. And part of this also is one of his indicators, which is called the PSAR, the parabolic stop and reverse system. And that's also a mathematical system. I believe he was like a mathematical genius, from what I understand. And a lot of his scripts are based on obviously math. So if you look here, this is the PSAR here that's mathematically calculating, very similar to the radius trend cloud, where the trend is at, and then the possibility of switching and changing. So the parabolics are PSAR actually was right here that you could have potentially entered and then ridden that all the way up. For me, I'm personally waiting not just on the PSAR, but I'm also waiting on get back to multi-trend. Oops, settings. I'm also waiting on the 7 time frames. So right now I'm trading on the 1 hour, and I've got a 2, 4, 8, 12, 1 day, 7 day, and 14 day. And what I have found is it's important to have the 14 day. If you go up to a 28 day, you're going to get, a super, drawn out picture that may not be relative to the 1 hour or the lower time frame that you're trading on. So you got to be really careful about that. And this is an industry standard in trading. Most people are looking at a higher time frame, coming back down several levels to the time frame that they're trading. So this is not something I've heard of. I'm just kind of taking it to the next level where I'm like, hey, look, let's go ahead and let's look at 7 different time frames above the time frame that I'm on, just to get confirmation of the trend so that we can have high probability odds on the trade. Then we're just keeping it a simple 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, as you can see on the screen here with CADJPY. And then I'm looking for confirmation of that. So obviously the PSAR shows me confirmation of that moving with the trend. Then I'm also looking at the RSI. Are we oversold? Are we overbought? Right now we're kind of hanging out in the middle, which is kind of good. Another reason why I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go for this trade. The other thing I'm looking at is the DI plus and DI minus lines with the average directional movement. And if those, if it's green, that's another confirmation for me. This one, I would have liked to see it uh, kind of going up a little bit more. But again, this is just further confirmation. It's not a deciding factor in what we're doing. So, because again, you're doing multi-time frame and multi-dimensional trading where you're looking at multiple time frames and you're really trying to catch the momentum, catch the wave, and ride it as long as possible. Now, obviously, in this case, it's been better to grab it here or with the multi-time frame. If we look at that again, where those 7 time frames showed up, that started right there. So, that would have been a good entry as well, a little bit better. But you can't always have the perfect setup or the perfect entry. You'll be waiting all day long. And then here, I'm just kind of watching some of my other information also from Wells Wilder. Is my ADX R and the ADX above a certain level? Right now, I'm noticing the ADX has dropped to 19. I typically want it to be 20 or higher. And the ADX, depending on what asset it is, 25 is a good round number. Sometimes I'll lower that a little bit, depending on the asset and the volatility that it has. But those two things I'm wanting to look at just to confirm the trend, and then whether or not our momentum is going in one direction or another direction. But again, I'm looking at the overall trend from multiple levels. So you kind of have to think here interdimensionally. If you've watched the Tron movie, Tron Legacy, where the motorcycle bike, telling you about something I love, where that bike is going up and you hear it going boom, doom, doom. So that's kind of what we're looking at in the trading world. We're trying to look for that continuation going up and up and up and up. And these are just showing me signs that we're in a pretty good continuation for a while. And this looks like it's been that way. At least it's going to be that way for a little bit. Here, we could go ahead and maybe exit out of this trade if we continue to see the RSI fall, ADX numbers fall, as well as DI fall, and take a little bit of a win. I was hoping for more of a continuation, moving all the way up and continuing to go up, but we may or may not have that. Now I can, risk that, risk reward ratio 1 to 2, could risk that here, let it go into the red. But for me, I'm going to be watching the trend. I want to see that trend still stay bullish on all time frames that I have here, as well as it stay above the PSAR and then above the current trend on the 1 hour. So, and then we can always do what most do. They drop down like the 30-minute, see if maybe there's a potential reversal. 30-minute, obviously still above the PSAR. 15-minute, looks like there has been a PSAR reversal on the 15-minute, and that could be temporary and then obviously change again. This is the challenge with doing multi-dimensional trading, and I'm sure everybody out there wants to address the patterns. So if you look at the patterns, here's your double top right here, potential reversal. It's very possible that could play out. Again, there is no perfect trading out there. You are taking a risk. I'm not a financial advisor, so I just want you guys to know that. But this could be a really good setup long term for CAD And if we go all the way up to the daily, we can look at that real quick and see what we're looking at here. And obviously, we have entered into that 7 day, and look there, right there is where the trend changed and could be moving up. PSAR is lined up on the daily for that. And on the daily, if you're looking at your DI plus and DI minus lines, so then you have to think multidimensionally, are you willing to risk the small for the large swing trade? So you got to determine which time frame you're going to be trading on and what that profit looks like to you. And for me, I think I'm going to hold on to this one and see where this one goes. Drop back down to 1 hour and look at that. Still teeter tottering on break even right now, but we're going to jump on here and let you look at one. Then let's look at USD. Here's another one that I'm trading right now. This one also, same deal, super bearish on all the time frames. And here I've just drawn out some lines. Now, we all know that we hear this the statement or the phrase, trading can be subjective. And especially when it comes to, higher lows, lower highs, and trend direction, that can be very subjective. Even with that, if we look here, I'll redraw this, but some might say, okay, this is where it went to the bottom and then it kind of came up here to the top, went further down here, came here, went further down here, and then came up, and we're actually at that point above. So this could be what we call a change of character. And that could be so. Although some people might actually, and this is why it's subjective, say no, this would be the correct. So if you're looking at it that way, then we have not had a change of character as of yet. And so that change of character will not happen until price goes above this last resistance level. Doing your resistance lines, you could draw a line there, and that could be a point of resistance where price respects that and bounces back down, or it could break through that. And at that point, you need to watch and see, is it going to be a further trend reversal, at least for the 1 hour time frame. So anyway, I hope this is helpful, showing you both these trades and multi-time frame trading, which pretty much most of your expert traders that have been doing it for a long time do. They may not do it on quite this detailed of a level, but they do look at several different time frames for confirmation of a trend before moving into a trade. And many times they're holding those, especially if they're swing trader, they're holding that for a very long time. So hope this helps. All right, guys, like and subscribe. We'll see you later.